Hello and welcome to Photo Tuts. This is a quick tip. Today we're going to turn a panoramic image into a planet. To begin, open up your panoramic image and then we need to quickly resize it. To do that we go Image, Image Size, and make sure it's at a sensible size. I'd suggest don't go anywhere over about 6,000 pixels. If not, you might end up just having your computer crash. Make sure at this time constrain proportions is on, so our image is perfect. Then what we need to do is we need to go back up and go to image size once again and turn it off. Now we want the width and the height to be perfectly the same. So it looks a little bit strange at the moment. Then we need to select the image and flip it upside down. But if you're using the background layer, you might find that you have to duplicate the image. You can do it by CMD and J, or Control if you're a Windows user. Then CMD and T, and then we flip it over. You can also find the transform tools on Edit, Transform and Flip Vertical. Now you've got it upside down, you might be wondering what we do next. Well, we just come up to Filter, Distort, Polar Coordinates, and get this little pop-up. Now we can see that our image is created quite easily into a little planet with the rectangular to polar selected. So we just hit OK, and depending on how large your image is, it will take. Okay, so there's my image. Now I'm just going to flip it both horizontal and vertical. So I would quite like that bit on there. Yeah, I'm quite happy with that. I want this bit pointing upwards. Now I don't know how easy is it to see on this video. I'm losing my words here. Don't know how easy it is to see on this video, but if you go into like the corner, you can see that the actual Photoshop takes the sky and then just duplicates the pixel. This is to make the edges look like they fit in, but they actually don't. They look pretty poor on closer inspection. So if, like myself, you're using CS5, we have use of the content aware fill. And I found the best thing to do with these images is to get the elliptical marquee tool. Then we start on the top left hand and then go all the way down to the bottom right. So it creates a perfect circle, the same sort of shape that Photoshop would create for this polar coordinate. Then left click and hit select inverse. Left click again, then fill. This will bring up the content aware. Just hit OK, and this is the part that will crash if you've got a slower computer. Just give it a second, and what Photoshop is doing is it's filling in the edges depending on what's around it. It won't duplicate the pixel quite as bad, and we'll just give it a little bit longer. This is the part which is going to consume your memory. It's eating about 1 gig up at the moment just to do this process. There we go. And as you can see, it's almost perfect. Let's duplicate the sky nicely here. Here it is. There's a few faint lines, but what's happened here? A building has been duplicated, which isn't what we want, but it still looks better. But to finish off, what we're going to do is we're going to just quickly grab clone stamp tool. Now if you don't have CS5, this is what you want to do anyway. You'll want to grab the clone stamp tool, hit the Alt key, and then just paint over an area nearby, create a new layer, and then just simply paint over the area you want to cover up. Now you just have to merge it in to the current image, and you might just want to go over a couple of other bits of the image, and that's just about as easy as that. You might just want to create a new layer, then go down to image, apply image, and then filter and then sharpen, and just apply sharpen layer just to make sure everything stands out. Might not need it as high, so just reduce the opacity slightly, just up to you. So this is what happens if we're using a full 360 panoramic. Obviously it makes things a heck of a lot easier. If you were to use just little bits, so if I have a look in my folder, yeah, let's grab out this one. So here we've got a mountain range that doesn't completely join up. There is a full 360, but they've actually gone way over, so the two ends don't actually join. So if I duplicate that, and what I tend to do is I tend to use the rulers. So I'll hit CMD and R for rulers, or Control if you're a Windows user. Select about 50%, and then use layer via copy or cut. It doesn't really matter. I'm just going to use cut for now, and then just swap these places. Just bring this one right to the end, and then we bring this one. If we turn off the background there, bring this one out. So this way, what we've done is we just cut the two images, swap them around, and there we can see the join which we'll be left with. And now the part is just merging them together so that we don't actually notice any problems. So here, I find it a little bit tricky to get a perfect bit. So that's about the mountain joined up, but over here it's still got this horrible line. So we go back to our good friend, the clone stamp tool, and it remembers it from our last go. So I'm coming along and I'm just going to paint in, place that one above that, and just quickly try and get these to merge a little bit better than they actually do. If I leave the sky alone, that'll give us a good example. Good example of what it does look. It looks like with a line. There we go. We'll leave that bit, and then just use the crop tool, and hey presto, there we go. Okay, now what I'm going to do with this image is quickly do exactly the same as what I just did. Let's go into image, then make the height exactly the same, so it's 4,801. Flip it upside down, and then go polar coordinates. And this one, you can see it does exactly the same, but here we go. Here's our bit where it's joined together, and you can see where the sky hasn't joined together. If I can zoom into that a little better. Well, there we go. There we go. You can see quite clearly where the sky hasn't joined together. So obviously our cloning didn't quite work, so we'll have to go back and change that, or do it properly in the first place. If you don't actually flip horizontal, or flip vertical rather, we get a completely different style of image. The image actually points inwards, which with a rocky landscape like this, it actually looks kind of cool. And then again, we can use the content aware to fill the background. And this sort of effect I actually quite like it. It looks a little bit different from your average photo, and it's worth playing around with. My name is Peter Saw, and I hope you've enjoyed this quick tip on PhotoTuts. See you again shortly. Bye.